Let's go.
All right, we're in here. We're doing it. No, but actually, I think that's what makes us a great pair. Because you have your thumb on the pulse about like the tech stuff, the new things that are coming, whereas I have the brain rot on deck.
Yeah. We both know weird shit. Just
Yeah.
different weird shit.
Yeah. I'm J.R. Phillips. I'm the one that won't shut up, and yeah, you can't make me, okay?
And I'm Nico Harlekenden. I'm the one who took notes, lit them on fire, and then started a completely separate new project instead.
And welcome to BAM! Now you know everything! Oh, God. So I wanted to start with something that is kind of a little deeper, even though we have somebody that thinks that we're a little serious, but that's okay. That's okay. Because we want to be funny and we also want to be serious. Like, that's a part of, the whole deal.
Yeah.
But the term value, okay. So
Okay.
I think a big part of shadow work, right? And a big part of breaking down things is taking away the words we use like interchangeably, right? Like value meaning worth is not inherently true for when it comes to like the human experience. So I was thinking about this a lot because I made a Substack post about famous authors coming on and how we feel about that. And some people were like, well, I know famous authors that can't even put food on the table. And then in my head, I'm like, but that's not the type of fame I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In this note, I feel like that was kind of an obvious thing. Like, I'm not talking about the person that's, famous around their hometown, but still need to have a day job, kind of deal. But it made me think about like global consciousness, class stuff we've been talking about since Luigi, these things. And I feel like it's a misconception because when you're little, you constantly hear adults are talking. Talk to me later. I'm talking to an adult right now. And that kind of ingrains in you like kids aren't really as valuable as an adult. And then it just grows to, well, he didn't say that, like fill in the blank of a name, famous person, influential person. And like influence doesn't dictate the value. Your value as a human is high. It stays high the whole time because you're living your freaking life. So have your opinions and stuff. Don't just follow along what anybody's saying, but also don't think that you can't take up space because somebody else exists that has like more influence than you. And I've been holding that in because we've been doing other podcasts with like other, guests and stuff. And I've been like really marinating in this. So I've been like really excited to talk to you about it because it's just been bothering me.
Yeah. And like now we finally get to say what we want and we don't have to worry about ruining someone else's reputation with our political views.
Right. Just my own, whatever.
But mine, what reputation?
Yeah, like, what is it? We're just starting, like, and I'd rather start off with people understanding, like, this is, there's not going to be a grand pivot,
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'm definitely radical, but I always like to make it a point to, how should I say this? I think the person and their intentions and their desire to know is always more important than the label anyway. I think we never give enough space for someone to grow past their mistakes And I think that's just like a societal kind of moray. I think in the Western world, we definitely have that in spades, but it may just be a human thing to be a little, judgy of someone you think is the other.
Right. Like, because it just, what it happens is when you stop valuing yourself, right? And you stop valuing what you're bringing, you look at your neighbor and kind of blame them instead of looking at the big picture as a whole, which is somebody somewhere along the line convinced you that there's this pecking order and it has to do with influence and money and, whatever it is. But then you hear countless and beautiful stories. Think of all the stories and movies we watch, it's not always the elite that are the good, most valuable player in there, And I think that's for a reason. But
we love an underdog story. Let's appreciate people for themselves when possible. If you can even know people, but it's a different conversation.
No, that's true too. Like, how many layers are there? But I think when I bring it back to shadow work, I think like that's kind of the stage I'm at right now, where I'm like, because of everything we're doing too, it's important to remember I am bringing value to things, to spaces, and I don't need somebody to welcome me or tell me that I'm valuable,
I love that. Blaze that trail, sister.
Yeah, I just feel like that's more people need to know that it's a truth. Value isn't a subjective thing to the point that your value changes over time as a human, as a entity on the planet kind of deal. Unless you're a shitbag, but
Big bag of dog shit.
reoccurring theme of my life. Oh, have you started? If you haven't, it's not going to make any sense. But have you started One Dark Window?
No.
Okay.
When do I read anymore? Never.
I really only read submissions
Yeah.
and the like,
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, I was like, I'm kind of done with just posting a bunch of rough drafts. I'm ready to get back into like my craft a little bit.
Ooh,
So,
first to hear it.
yeah, because I feel like I've just been like, idea. Now I'm like, I need to remind people that I'm good at this. Because right now it's like, these rough drafts are fine. Okay, but I want to get back into it a little bit. And I think our writing challenge is going to get me like going.
Yes, yes. Should we talk about this? Is it real? Are we committed?
Yes, we are committed. Yeah. I've been like, I'm looking forward to, so I've decided to kind of gut my story a little bit. Like, I think I was telling you, like, I want to change the perspective, take out a perspective. It's going to be a lot of work, but I feel like it will be a much easier story, like
Yeah.
to get into and everything. I'm a little nervous.
I bet. Yeah. No, I have a lot of work to revamp, like what's happening in mine too. My main manuscript that I just like to forget exists. So maybe that's part of the reason.
How far along is it? Like, is it finished and you're editing, or is it like...
It's like 80,000 words.
Okay.
It's not quite done, but I need to change a lot and then probably take out 20K at least and then rewrite those and then add another 20K.
To a non-writer, this sounds like, why are you, this math ain't mathin'. Like, you're taking 20, putting 20 in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I get it, because it's like, some of those words were just not...
We went down a wrong path.
Oh, it was like a dead end, kind of?
It's like ooh, this wouldn't exist if I go back and change this. Writing is like time travel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
So
But
it's like
we'll
a
make it
plot
stronger.
hole? Yeah.
It's not a plot hole. I want to do a different kind of side quest.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
so tantalizing. And I also want to maybe I think it's important to add more vulnerability, and I'm not really good at that at first blush because I know what I want to show about a character, but it's not enough of an arc if I look at like the 3-book plan. The 3-book plan for anyone listening is like the 5-year plan for overachievers. Everybody has a trilogy.
Oh, yeah. I started off with like, no, this is just going to be a standalone. I'm going to smush it all in. I'm going to get it out there. Use as little words as possible, you know, kind of like go back to epic poetry, you know, like a Beowulf situation. Yeah. But I realized when you want to have 5 perspectives, you can't really.
Holy crap.
You can't really do that. Because you have to have enough to make people care. Yeah. Period.
Lame. Yeah. Why do we need to do that?
You guys should just care. Come on. Care about it.
I care.
I wanted to look at. I sent you random babblings. I don't know
bring
if you
it
saw
up.
that.
Yes.
I just want to go back and look at it. Oh. This is a rant. This is just a random thing. So, pardon my take. Have you heard of this podcast? No. Okay. I did not expect you to, honestly, because it's sports related. It's a Barstool pod, but it does take place, I guess, in like your neck of the woods, kind of. They talk about everything sports related, like they were talking about the draft. Anyway, my husband was listening to it, and they brought up astrology, like, out of nowhere. And they were talking about this football player who is a Sagittarius, and the other was a Pisces. I'm pretty sure it was, because I don't think I would have connected to it if it, you know what I mean? Like, I would have been like, I don't know. But they were like, do they get along? Do those signs get along? And I'm, like, perked up now. I don't listen very much to what they're saying. I like sports. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I follow the Ravens very closely. Okay. But I don't know, like, all the sports. I don't know, like, all their names and stuff. I just, like, know I like to watch it. Like, I don't
all the stats.
Yeah. I'm not draft day, like, ooh, I hope they get this guy. You know, I'm not.
You don't have a fantasy league?
No. But I'm, like, perked up in my chair, and I'm like, yeah, they get along. They love each other, actually.
That's right.
So then he reads from, like, AstroSeek or something, and he's like, Pisces and Sagittarius can have great friendship and even loving relationship.
Perfect.
And I just think it's kind of interesting that astrology is becoming such a topic that brings people in. Like, viewership gets brought in, and we hear more of the men talking about it now. Like, instead of just shitting on us, like, on astrology, girl. Now they're like, maybe these planets are kind of cool. Maybe I need to know about them.
That's right. I remember maybe 10 years ago, all of the previous hipster set, they were decrying the return of astrology full force to, like, girly pop nation, to all the, like, female circles, because they were likening it to the Dark Ages and the loss of science.
Oh.
In medieval times. They were blaming culture's ills on the return of astrology.
That feels a little backwards to me. Knowing what we know about the Dark Ages in terms of spirituality and religion, and the leaders of that time and what they were, doing. Yeah. I don't think maybe they just had really bad charts that explained why they were,
They were probably all Capricorn.
Don't do yourself like that, okay?
That's true. Listen, I have anchoring placements in much cooler things.
Yeah, you're like, I could disparage this one. It's okay. It's only a little bit of me. I think I have, I don't know. I know I have Capricorn in the bottom half of my list a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful, because if I didn't have the daddy sign anywhere in my chart, I would be under the ocean. I would be lost at sea in my delusions.
You
So
wouldn't be such a boss.
yeah, it's a blooming effect, okay? It's happening slowly. I've always been a late bloomer. So, of course I waited until mid-30s to do anything with my hopes and dreams, just staring at them and yelling, "Do something."
I think a lot of people are in your boat. I mean, I'm glad we get to do it at all. Take a
Yeah,
shot at it.
we're shooting for the moon. The
We're
moon.
shooting for Saturn, past the Kuiper Belt.
I don't know what that is. Is that the asteroid belt? Okay, that is a cooler name.
Between, like,
It's a cooler name than just the asteroid belt. I don't write science fiction.
full disclosure, don't come for me.
Okay. Don't test me. Okay? I don't know.
But we might write some science fiction together.
Yeah, God, I forgot. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that because of
Whether it's that or something else, it doesn't matter.
yeah. I feel like robots. I know that's quintessentially sci-fi, but I feel like I can articulate technology throughout writing more realistically and thread it with fantasy more than I could about space.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like how do they make it sound so real? Like Dune, just I feel like I could put on that suit and be okay. You know? Like it's just something about it that feels so tangible and so real. I could never do that. Whenever I try to write something like that, it sounds hokey.
Oh, you didn't read enough Star Wars when you were a
I
kid.
know. Oh, what was I doing?
Hanging out with Trekkie nerds.
Yeah.
Unforgivable.
Live long and prosper. I just tried to make sure I could do this.
Oh, perfect.
I looked at I was like, I can still do this. Okay. Don't be a poser.
Just double check it. Which fingers go together?
This is anxiety in personified right
Oh, yeah.
there. That's what that was.
So you have a very prominent Sagittarian energy to you as a Sag rising.
Oh.
I have some very spacey energy to me because of my Neptune conjunct my ascendant.
Okay.
So I have the space cadet planet front and center. House one.
Okay, so the houses. Because
yes.
my charts, they never, like I was saying when we were on Substack, they never really tell me like what the house is. And
Yeah.
then you sent me this like really in-depth about fortune and work and what the house is like. And I went to my chart and I was like, why don't you do this for me?
Yeah.
So what is house 1? Is that
Ooh.
self?
Yeah. It's
Oh.
it's how you present in the world. So it is your facade. But not facade in terms of fake, it's just how you show up. It's how somebody sees you in the grocery store, right? Somebody you don't know. It's your first impression.
So your first impression that you give people is that you're like very put together. Which is why a lot of people have said you come off very put together and then you're like very quick to be like,
So put together, structured is a word that is used for how Capricorns appear, both in their tailoring and in their bones. But because Neptune is also rising, it's like a major projection from other people. So almost like illusory. People see
Ooh.
what they want to see. And also the way I look changes quite frequently. Other people with this placement. And then also like large eyes, large eyeballs.
Beautiful, beautiful peepers.
Bam, bam, thanks.
So you can see through the illusions.
I think maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely some light Pisces intuition, maybe, but nothing like your ability to just know. Like you can clock a sign, a big 3 sign from like a mile away.
It's a fun party game. And it's a fun D&D thing too. Like if I'm like sometimes I'm like, what kind of What kind of character are you building over there? Are you building a Leo? Because you're doing a lot of forefront, like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, you know?
Yes.
And that's kind of fun if the players know astrology. An astrology based Dungeons and Dragons game would be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Tell Ben.
Yeah. We've got enough going on.
I know.
Like he doesn't have enough going on, new kid.
Oh, yeah. And he's just released like new stories and stuff, so.
So check out The Longest Game on Substack, listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
Benjamin Bagensky is quite the up-and-comer pulp fiction style revivalist on Substack.
And he has like intricate games and stuff.
I know. I don't know what part of his signage that would be. I only recall that he is Cancer the Crab Sun. Yes,
that makes
perfect.
sense. Very
water
nurturing.
sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you heard of the dark sucker theory?
What the? No.
Okay. So my teacher in 8th grade had this thing where he would trick the kids into believing this dark sucker theory, that light bulbs do not emit light, but they suck in all the darkness. And when they're full of darkness, you have to change the light bulb. And instead of my dad telling me that that is complete malarkey, he doubles down and is like, interesting. I think if it would be da-da-da, and then he just like does all these calculations. So he's the sci-fi writer, obviously.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Check his work out in Indie Creator Collective. Soon available for others to see, as I hear it.
Yeah, hopefully. Once you hold my hand to this website making.
You're gonna love it. It's such a way to express yourself digitally. You'll take right to it. You'll know exactly what to do. It's just like, what words do I call these parts of it? You know? Because like,
yeah,
we were never taught it.
Yeah. And then I probably could ask some of the kids at school, honestly, because they build websites in STEM and stuff. And be like, hey, what do you guys think is cool? Tell me how to be cool again. Come on, don't be shy.
Yeah, then funnel it up to the older one, please, me.
You know more about it than I do.
But not about being cool. We'll trade.
The help articles that are on Substack that tell you a lot of tips and tricks without really telling you a tip and trick. You know what I mean? Where,
yes, I do.
And you all the ones that you sent me, I think you sent me about like 10.
30.
Okay. No, it was like 10. And a lot of them were all very interesting, but they all had the same. I'm trying to remember so I sound intelligent instead of saying it's like this and like that and like, you know, oh my God. And then I try to get it. Actually, I'm at my computer.
Yeah.
I just made us go away. So maybe I can just pull it up. I can do the thing.
Yes.
Because...
Dude, let's talk about... You want to do a horror collection, too. We'll be launching side-by-side horror collections.
Right, which I think would make it interesting for the launch party.
Weirdos.
Weirdos? Because we're weirdos.
Yeah.
Well, no, because there's another podcast that are called Weirdos.
Do you know all of the podcasts?
I know a lot of podcasts.
All of them ever?
Oh,
let me tell you about a thing that made me want to write part of this into my story, Pine Blight, which is in the Forbidden Fruit collection. And it is raining glass, inspired by the mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period. The meteor shower that made extinct all of the large non-bird dinos. It rained glass so hot that it was like liquid glass.
Wait, okay. I'm trying to separate the fact from the fiction. And
This is fact, and now I'm going to make it rain glass in my eco-horror dark fantasy.
That is so cool. The atmosphere is weird.
Yeah.
You know? Like, teaching that to kids makes me go, Yeah, Earth is weird. Like, because the misconception that you have is like you breathe in oxygen and that's all you're breathing in, but you're not really only breathing in oxygen. Obviously, now
Yeah.
you know. But when you're little, that's what you think. Like, yeah, this is oxygen,
That's
okay?
all air is. Because you can't tell a kid that there's also
Poison.
suffocating poison.
I mean, sometimes you have to sprinkle a little bit of that in so you like get them on the edge of their seat a little bit,
Make them
you
pay
know?
attention.
Yeah. And then we're just like, just kidding. A little. You're fine.
That's why you're a great teacher. The school system will be bereft without you. Do you want some bad news?
Yeah, I mean, our life is bad news at this point, I feel. Not our lives personally, but our
No, no,
lives
no, no.
globally.
Oh, at the time of recording, there was news of, they think, 11 possibly violent felons escaping from some prison in a southern state. I dare not say its name. But yeah, so they're on the loose. They're murderers, and 11 of them just broke free and are gallivanting across the countryside. Listen, no shade to murderers or felons or anything like that, but how do you lose 11? And that's not to say we
Yeah.
don't need prison reform. We desperately do here. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But
We need to like reform so many things in
yeah,
general to
yeah.
catch up with the fact that we have evolved as a society on the global scale of things. Um and especially the prison system. But I will say one thing about murderers. Murder is a crime that is not always unjustified.
Yeah.
So they may be saying these violent criminals, and they could be. Okay, I don't know. There could be serial killers out there. I literally have no idea. Nico just told me
Oh,
this
I have
right
another.
now.
There's a separate story.
Okay.
So none of the escapees are serial killers to my knowledge, and I'm right there with you. Like,
Hmm.
do not assume you know the circumstances. Perhaps they were dealt like a shitty hand, and none of them actually committed the crime. That happens all too often. But
Hmm.
there actually is a serial killer on the loose. There's a suspected serial killer loose in New England. They found like 7 or so bodies at my last count, like across New England
Wow.
states. Yeah.
Are we going to become a true crime podcast? Is this
I
going
mean, it would be all too easy with
Yeah.
my Scorpio midheaven.
to. Because that's all I ingest. No, but honestly, that's crazy. Like we haven't had like
Yeah.
a serial killer in we've had like mass murders, right? We
Shootings.
haven't had like uh John Wayne Gacy in a while. I did watch I feel like the 90s, early 2000s
Oh, yeah.
maybe is like the last I've heard of like a serial killer because technology has come so far that it's kind of like when you kind of get caught a little bit faster now. You can't really, you know, live on the lam. You know, they're gonna find you, and your DNA is everywhere. And with Ancestry and me, or 23andMe and whatever, they're easily found.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know.
Fingerprinting teachers.
Yeah, you
Don't
know.
get any ideas, Jess.
Yeah.
You're shit out of luck now.
My hair sheds too much, I'd be found instantly. There is a part I feel like that we getting away with a murder becomes a game, right? Like in
Yeah.
your head, you're like, I bet I could outsmart them, whatever. But
Here's
then
what I do. Yeah.
yeah, we all like I want to say we all, but the weirdos and the people out there that are digging deep into psychological things that people go through, which writers have to do. You're
By law.
yeah, so like we have to think, how could the murderer get away? Because we're making suspense. But like you get so many like West Memphis 3. They were innocent and they were put into jail and then they were let out on the Alfred. I think it's the Alfred plea or whatever, which means they get it expunged, Everybody knows they're innocent, but we can't really prove it actually, so it still like sticks with you or something like that.
Good luck finding a job, renting an
Yeah.
apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, you just were a scapegoat for the last several years, but nothing we can do about it. And then
Mm-hmm.
they lost all the evidence in a fire,
Suspicious.
so it's just a little bit weird.
Hmm.
So like when somebody says they're a murderer, my first thought is like, are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to yell.
No,
Sorry
I
to
love
yell.
it. Because and I say this all the time, but like a can they don't get any time. You know what I mean? If we're not allowed to say that, we can change it. You bleep it out.
I'll bleep it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
bleep
going.
it. Because we know that that causes more damage and creates little serial killers and cycle repeating and stuff like that. We know what that does, but we don't give them any real time, or we give them like rehabilitation. So they're
Yeah.
going to be great in prison. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't
They're gonna
understand.
be great in prison.
Yeah, their victim of choice isn't there. It's why, like, men who are violent towards women or all that stuff, like, they're not there. Like, their victim isn't there. So they're not.
Yeah. I will say, I
Mhm.
think men who are violent toward women, I think there might be like crossover.
Mm.
As far as I'm not a professional, so I'm just gonna take a stab at this. But as far as like violent aggression or just the inability to access the tools that someone would need to diplomatically exit a situation.
Right, right.
Like I don't think they mean overall the trend is I don't think they might necessarily know how to get out of an altercation. De-escalation, that's what I'm trying to
Mm.
think. I don't think maybe that's hard. It's hard for me in an office setting. I
Yeah.
can't imagine. I can't imagine how hard it would be for someone else.
Right. It's like you don't grow up with the tools, which goes back to, the proper punishment for certain things. There's just like a flip flop for the system.
Yes, this is why in Scandinavian prison systems it's been proven that rehabilitation will help mitigate recidivism or repeat offenses.
And we claim we rehabilitate, but it doesn't
Yeah.
really happen. Like the new ecosystem is created and it's not relevant to society. It doesn't show society stuff. It's like you were a kid in class that was constantly being yelled at or monitored because you didn't, you weren't listening, right? And you hear your name all day long, but it's never positive. You're not coming in and gonna do your best because what's the point? I'm just gonna get yelled at. The teacher doesn't like me. There's no point. And I
Yeah.
mean, kids don't think like that automatically. It takes a second for them, but they know innately, right?
Yeah.
And that's so sad. So then if you think of it as an adult and you're getting put somewhere where the expectations are on the ground, they're so far below that, you're going to think that like, "Whoa, what's the point? I already ruined my life. There's no point." I don't know if every kind of criminal could be rehabilitated though. But that's hard, and I'm not a professional either, so I don't know.
But we'll think about it and talk about it.
Yeah, because,
It's what we do.
you gotta process it out, gotta think about it.
Yeah. Ooh, what about, okay, so deviation, but kind of like related. How do you feel about how they approach maybe like illegal drug usage in places like Portugal?
I don't know that much about Portugal,
Okay.
so fill me in.
Good. I'm glad. Now I can offer you some info.
I love
You
it.
always you always offer info. It's been probably a couple of decades, a great handful of years since this has been proven. But in Portugal, they decided to decriminalize illegal drug usage.
Okay.
and made sure that there were access to safe places to consume, safe
Is this kind of
implements.
is this kind of like did Washington State do this or
I think
Oregon?
so. I think somewhere maybe in the Pacific Northwest. We should look this up and fact check it and add it to like the thing down below. But I believe so. But in Portugal, it was extremely successful. Next to no deaths and drastically reduced any related crimes, violent and otherwise. So, including things like theft and other things, and an increase to successful rehabilitation because it was not punitive. I know these are humans, but if you think about it, we are still mammals. And it's the same thing when you think about like dogs or cats, like other things that we have this symbiotic relationship
Yeah.
with and care about. Like, it doesn't really work if you're being punishing or yelling at them. It works more if you're focusing on positive reinforcement.
Right. And we know that positive reinforcement works tenfold compared to negative reinforcement. We found that out, which is why we don't paddle kids in school anymore. You know, it's a big thing it's a universal truth. It's also a culture, and America or United States doesn't have a lot of cultural things that we can point at. But one of the things is we always are thinking about work, right? Like, how am I productive today? What have I done today? How have I like rewarded, you know, myself, society, what am I integral to? Um, and drug use has always been demonized as does not allow you to be a good member of society. And if you're not a good member of society, then you're on the outskirts of society. So why would you step up? Right? Because I'm already here. I'm too far deep. No one's really able to help me. There's no resources to help me. So we kind of, I mean, it wasn't until recent, right, that we even started like having Narcan, like,
Yeah.
accessible and a part of a treatment and all this stuff. And it wasn't until recent. We used to just be like, oh, yo, D, that's your fault. Get over it.
Yeah.
And that's
get that body out of here. And now we're at risk of losing Narcan, right? Like, I don't know where, but I believe people in different municipalities and states are trying to eliminate those programs.
Because so many people are under the impression that if something exists to help a problem, it motivates or is a catalyst for that problem to exist. Like the chicken and the egg kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, people were doing drugs and ODing and dying forever now. Like, it's just a part of our nature as animals, human beings, we want to escape. We want to escape in some way. And especially if where we're living is hard, we don't have a lot of money, there's very little.
No way out.
Yeah. So it's like, you know what? I am going to go on a mini vacation, a little trip on my couch, and I'm going to do this. Or it gets worse and worse. Or the housewives of the 1950s doing meth casually. And then following up with Quaaludes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, talk about Twilight birth. Are you familiar with this? Same time period in the 50s.
I think so.
I think they used, similar to Quaaludes and barbiturates, some kind of concoction so that it would completely knock the woman out and she would not remember giving birth whatsoever. Generations do not know how their children were born.
That is a premise for a sci-fi novel.
Right?
That is like, what aliens did they implant? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. It's also a kind of the same as the guy that was demonized because he washed his hands in his hospital.
Huh?
Yeah. Okay. So like way back in the day, there was these two dueling hospitals and they were doing some nefarious things like finding cadavers, getting dropped off to them.
Yes.
But people
Okay.
were getting sick in the hospital. And the doctor in the one hospital was like, you know what? We should wash our hands. That's what we should do. So he was started washing his hands. He had less people getting sick and dying, great things. But what did the people do when they found out that his hospital was washing hands? They like accused him of like witchcraft and stuff.
Wow.
And was like, why would you do that? And I'm like, you see somebody with like dirt under their nails and you want them to like inspect your orifices? I just don't understand.
Orifices.
Oh my god, so I went to my dentist about my Invisalign, like trying to
Yes.
do like take care of me, whatever. But she was talking some shit about the other dentist that she worked for and how he would like say things about his clients while they were under. And she was like, I never worked for him again. She didn't go in detail, like the salacious things that he said, but I can only imagine what he was saying while his patients were under, like
Yeah.
anesthesia, working on them.
I had some dental work done one time not too long ago, and nothing salacious happened, but I distinctly fucking remember. So, like, I have this issue. I don't know what it is, but like, my body metabolizes painkillers and just about anything like wicked fast. And so I will come to much faster than anticipated. And I swear to God, I came to and I was being like annoying or something like that. I was doing something that like the surgeon didn't want me to do. And he was such a dick about it. And then the woman who was assisting him was just so nice trying to like cover it up. And I'm just like, I hate this guy.
I'm never coming back here. Oh my
Never.
God.
Yeah.
I had okay, so I do that too. I wonder if it's a
Yeah.
little saggy,
Ooh.
kind of thing.
Wild.
Yeah, like, and just like they needed to use 7 vials of Novocaine on me one time because it's
Yes.
crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't numb, and I kept trying to tough it out, and they were like, "Please don't try to tough it out because it's like torture." And I was like, "Yeah, but I feel bad. Like, I just want it to be good." But I went to this first specialist I've ever gone to for a wisdom tooth out. And I'm anticipating an old guy as my doctor, right? But it's
Yeah.
this young guy. He's very good looking. Everybody in the office is the hottest person I've ever seen. I'm like looking around like all these chicks. I was like, where am I? When I'm coming to and my husband is there to take me. This was just last year. So, or like actually in January. I come to and all the beautiful people are around me and I just look at him and I'm like, see how hot they are? I'm just like so I harassed them, but I was under the influence of laughing gas or
Yeah.
whatever, anesthesia, whatever.
I've never had laughing gas,
I don't think
but
I
I
have
would
either. I don't
imagine.
know. I think
I
it was just
imagine it
anesthesia. I don't know.
so fun for other people taking care of you, probably. Except, oh my God, so I had like an actual surgery one time. Same thing. I come to a little too quickly.
How dare you? Just stay asleep.
Go to sleep. My dad does the same thing. We try to escape. We don't know where we are, but the body is there and we start to come to. Our mind is a little bit there, but not fully. And we try to rip the IVs out and escape the hospital. And like it's almost impossible. You got to catch us. You know what I mean? Like we might make it.
You have to like tell
It's crazy.
your emergency contact. Just let them know I may or may not throat punch the doctor when I wake up.
I have tried to throw a punch.
Oh my god, that's funny. I thought that was just a movie thing. I didn't think that was like instinctual. I wonder if like your ancestors had to like escape an underground experimental black market type of situation. I don't know.
It's definitely a survival instinct, and it happens in like some proportion of like, yeah, people, and you don't know until it's happened at least once. But then you do preempt and tell your doctor in the future.
This is so funny how opposite we are in this situation. I may have a fast painkiller thing, but I just go nighty night wherever I need to go. Okay. I am gonna go to sleep. Okay. And if something happens to me in my sleep, it's a nightmare, whatever. Been there, I'll just pretend. Okay. But if I wake up in the hospital and I'm there, I just look around and I'm like, can I have some water? Can I have some water, please?
You're just precious.
Yeah, I'm just like, take care of me. That's your job. I believe you should do your job.
Oh my god. Oh my god, how could they not? So it can't be moon. We have the same moon and we react very differently.
It's probably the Pisces nature of like, look at me big old eyes and I'm asleep. Or
what about your midheaven? Your midheaven is Libra, which is very like sweet, right? And mine is Scorpio, which is you get the stinger.
yeah, maybe it's like, what does the midheaven dictate though?
Yes, your midheaven or your MC, which I think is like medium coeli. Coeli, I don't know. It means, so if your first house is how you show up to someone at the grocery store, someone you just met, your midheaven is what you're more known for. So this could be, oftentimes people conflate it today with like being known at work. I think because we spend so much time there, but it's also reputational.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not yourself. Your sun is yourself.
Right.
And then your moon, it's almost like your rising is your facade. Your sun is like that self or like the mantle if it was a planet. And then your moon is your core, your molten core deep inside the egoic self. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the soft, squishy part. But I'm a Taurus, so I just want to sleep.
And snack.
And snack.
And read little books and not go to work.
And not go to work. That's why I'm so against work. Why did we ever invent this? No, okay. Libras are beautiful creatures.
Yes.
Okay. I have had experiences with Libras that take my jokes after telling me they're not funny. And then they'll take my joke and spin it back to me. And it's almost like they don't know what they're doing. You know, it's like, it's not on purpose, I guess.
Bitches.
But I'm just like, and then I dated a Libra and he was also a writer. And two writers, I don't know if you've experienced, I don't know, but it's not a romantic budding thing because
I would never.
It's two people that are introspective that think they know more than the other person.
Or feel more accurately.
Feel more. Yeah. And like, okay, we're sexting. Okay, I'm just going to go right into it. All right. We're sexting. And we're sexting with words, okay? No visuals. And I'm like, I just sent this really good one. You know what I mean? And then he sends one back. Adequate. Okay? Adequate.
Serviceable.
It's okay. I go in. Next time we meet, we're talking about how we were sexting, you know? And then he's like, yeah, we did good. You do a good job. I do better, though, is what he said. And I was like, excuse you? I will post our conversation. I will. Like, I will post it and we'll see. And maybe it's like the male gaze versus the female gaze of like words and stuff. So maybe there's just like that miscommunication, you know, whatever. But, excuse me? Why would you even say that? And that's my experience with a Libra. But I don't know his full chart, so I'm trying not.
I was just gonna ask.
If I had to guess with my party trick,
yes,
I would say he had probably a Cancer moon or something. Very intuitive. Definitely water. I wouldn't say Pisces because I feel like I would be
Scorpio.
So annoyed. I know it could be Scorpio, but I don't know.
Scorpio moons get a bad reputation, but not unfortunately so. Like, it's usually for a reason.
Okay. No. And then I think earthy. Not Capricorn, maybe Virgo.
Like rising. That's the
Rising.
flavor.
Yeah. What do Virgo, so your rising sign kind of dictates like how you look a little, right?
Look and behave, yeah. How you come
Okay.
off right away. And so Virgo, I would say precision, precise, or nervous energy. Usually a mixture of both.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Virgo.
Okay. Usually they have very manicured eyebrows.
Mm. Mm-hmm. I'm just remembering the bathroom ritual, honestly.
No way! I
Yeah.
love this. I love this.
Yeah. It's so funny because yeah. If I got my hands on this chart, could you imagine? Hey, excuse
Yeah.
me, I haven't talked to you in like 10 years and I just talk shit about you on this podcast. Can I please just have your chart real quick? What time are you born?
Beautiful. What about Mars? So I saw this very funny take online somewhere this week about, I think it was like a roast of people's physiques based on their Mars sign.
Okay.
So it was pretty funny. I don't remember all of them. I do remember my Mars is in Libra, so unfortunately mine was being roasted. It was very funny though.
I think I saw you posted it in your story and I think I
I
watched
must
a
have.
little bit about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was Libra's?
Libras, the funniest part of Libra was looks like they'd never win a fight. Like you can throw these people around. Like you just know they're a fucking wimp.
I don't mean to say. Just kidding. You just said you fought your way out of hospitals. Okay, so my
Yeah, but I look like a wimp.
it's deceiving. What was
Yes.
Gemini?
Is yours Gemini?
Mm-hmm.
I think this was the second half of the. No, Gemini was in there. Gemini was in there. I just didn't know it was you. Shoot. I always think Gemini, Peter Pan energy. I think
Mm-hmm.
it was something like that. I think it was something like, oh, girls have a really great giggle. I think that was one of them, but that's not a roast. That's just nice.
Giggling our way
We,
out of shit. Is that what it is?
a
Probably.
bit, a little effervescent. Hey, this has been Bam.
I gotta go. Take care of the bodies in the basement. This has been Bam. Now you know some things.
But not everything.
See you next time.
Bye.